A boy is born without immunities, and to avoid contact with germs, he must live inside a bubble. As he grows up, he meets a girl and risks his life for her. That's why today, Jimmy Bubble. This is the story of a boy named Jimmy who was born without immunities and could die if he catches any germ. To protect him, they put him in a bubble. He was in the hospital from infancy until age 4 when his mom brought him home. His mom is an overprotective and religious woman who built a giant bubble in his room to isolate him from germs and also from the outside world. She made a reality with just one type of food and only the religious television channel. Also, Jimmy couldn't interact with anyone because she was also his teacher, and as he grew up, she taught him that everything he knew was the only thing that existed. Although there were always some kids who bothered him through the window, the good thing is that his parents allowed him to do anything because even though he was in a bubble, his dad taught him how to ride a bike. But the best gift he received was the electric guitar for his 16th birthday. But one day things started to change because a new girl moved into the neighborhood, and Jimmy liked her from the very first moment he saw her. He used Chloe's trips to the garden as chances to pretend to clean his window just to watch her. But the one who didn't like him doing this very much was his mother. So
Pinocchio left his plastic bubble, touched the dirty neighbor girl, and died.
That's when he begins to feel new emotions. As his body changes, he notices things that scare him. Plus, his mom doesn't help him understand what's happening. Even though Chloe didn't know him, she always defended him when her friend spoke badly. One afternoon, she visits his house out of curiosity and enters easily since Jimmy's father ignores her. When she enters, she sees the large plastic tunnel the bubble boy uses to move around. In his room, she meets Jimmy, who offers to teach her guitar. She visits him daily, and they enjoy good times together despite the bubble between them. He uses retractable arms to touch her. At Christmas, she gives him a bubble bunny, making him very happy. On his birthday night, a drunk Chloe sneaks into Jimmy's room and asks for a kiss as a present. And even though Jimmy didn't think it was a good idea, she insists on getting into the bubble to be with him. But she ends up falling asleep before she can do it. A few days later, Chloe introduces her boyfriend, Mark, who is a jerk, but Jimmy thinks he's a cool rocker. At the same time, he grows jealous as he can only watch them show affection through his window. Then, Jimmy starts to suffer from having to live inside a bubble all the time, and his mother takes the opportunity to tell him that she really doesn't love him. Soon after, Chloe tells him she'll marry Mark at Niagara Falls in 3 days and asks his opinion, but Jimmy chooses not to respond. She leaves him a gift, but since he's upset, he returns the bunny to her. Chloe storms out, and both are left sad after the argument, until Jimmy opens the gift the girl had left him, which turned out to be a crystal bubble. He gets emotional when it says, "I love you," and starts planning. Jimmy creates a bubble suit that lasts exactly 3 days, the time left until the wedding. He decides to go to Niagara Falls to stop Chloe from getting married, and he manages to sneak out of his house. He goes outside excited to explore and walks until he reaches a bus stop where he asks for a ticket to the falls. When he realizes he can't afford it, he decides to walk. But as he crosses the street, a bus hits him. Luckily, his bubble suit protects him, and a group of cheerful uniformed kids get off the bus and try to see if he's hurt. He tells them he needs to stop a wedding, so they agree to take him. The trip starts with a cheerful mood, and Jimmy enjoys it while his mother at home realizes he's gone, and probably the whole neighborhood too. Jimmy. On the way, Jimmy finds out that the cheerful kids are part of a religious sect, and when he hears them talk about their beliefs, he makes fun of them. They end up kicked off the bus. Afterward, Jimmy begins walking. A vulture bothers him as his mother searches for him. At one point, when she arrives at the bus stop, the ticket booth man tells her that he has gone to Las Vegas with a group of happy kids. After a while, the bubble boy meets a motorcyclist named Slim, talks to him, and offers patches to fix his motorcycle. Meanwhile, the religious cult of the kids from the bus is gathered. The leader tells them the chosen one is trapped in a bubble, and they must find and free him to inherit the kingdom of heaven. Whoever rejects him will burn in hell forever. The kids on the bus get scared about what they did to Jimmy. Meanwhile, the protagonist tells his new friend he was kicked off the bus, so Slim offers to take him to the waterfalls. Because, as he says years ago, he fell in love with a girl named Fuego Loco, who later left him for a man who was a student, and he doesn't want the same thing to happen to Jimmy. They ride the motorcycle together to Las Vegas and stop to play the slot machines. They win some money and let Jimmy attend his first concert. Although Jimmy wants to keep traveling, Slim leaves him. The Bubble Boy tries to win a skateboard to leave without telling his new friend. Realizing Jimmy is gone, he searches for him and encounters the cult members, who destroy his motorcycle. Then Jimmy spots his parents on the road, and chaos ensues. An incident occurs where they crash into him, sending him flying in his bubble suit until he lands in a train car named Dr. Raro. Jimmy wakes up surrounded by strangers and realizes the train car is part of a freak show circus. They tell the boy to stay quiet, since Dr. Raro will wake up angry, which is bad for everyone. The train stops and Jimmy meets the feared boss. Instead of being scared, he mocks him, saying, "Are you a mini?" Oh, no. Then, the terrifying boss gets upset and starts hitting Jimmy's bubble, then tells him he wants to recruit him because he's weird too. But our protagonist tells him he has to stop a wedding. Dr. Raro gives him his card and says no one would marry a freak like him. So Jimmy throws him into the air, making him faint. And finally, the other circus kids start to follow him. He tells them they should be free and grants their freedom. Later, Jimmy goes to a restaurant where some men hassle an ice cream vendor, so he steps in to help. When people see him in a bubble bar, they assume he has a contagious disease and flee in fear. As in 2020, they put the place under quarantine. During the disaster, the restaurant accidentally catches fire, but Jimmy is saved by the man he helped and they leave together in the ice cream truck. Meanwhile, Jimmy's parents arrive at the train and meet Dr. Raro, who tells them that their son stole his performers, and they decide to join forces to look for him. Then, the Indian man starts to get to know Bubble Boy and tells him that he will take him to the falls for defending him. On the way, he explains his religion where cows are sacred. Afterwards, Jimmy's mom calls Chloe to tell her that her son ran away because of her. When she hangs up, she realizes Dr. Raro's artist stole her car. Later, the Indian man accidentally hits a cow on the road, and Jimmy tries to calm him down by telling him that his religion is a lie. Instead, he upsets the man, who gives Jimmy ice cream to get him to leave. The man then stays behind, trying to fix his mistake. Then we see Slim with a group of bikers who get distracted by the ice cream truck, while the bus cult shows up and destroys all the motorcycles. At night, Jimmy arrives in town seeking a taxi, but an old man charges him $500 for the ride. And luckily for our protagonist, he sees an ad that says they're giving away exactly that amount of money.
Yes, I want $500, $500, $500, $500, $500.
He enters a bar with only Asian men and wins a mud fight. When he comes out, the cult members catch and take him away. Meanwhile, the circus freaks watch from afar and make a plan to help. Now, Jimmy finds himself in the middle of a liberation ceremony, and the freaks manage to create a distraction to save him. Just then, the bikers arrive, see the cult uniforms, and a fight breaks out into a free-for-all. Jimmy takes advantage, gets in the taxi, and tells the driver not to stop to begin his journey. He does that all night until dawn. Jimmy notices the taxi driver is stiff like he's dead, so he quickly leaves. Luckily, our protagonist is safe, and he gets to a store to call Chloe, but Mark answers, telling him not to waste his time since she doesn't love him and only feels sorry for him. Jimmy gets depressed and calls Dr. Rao. His mother asks his location, and after learning where he is, they dismiss the dwarf since he's no longer needed. Shortly after, his parents find him. But before going back home, his mom goes to the bathroom and his dad speaks for the first time in the movie. Tell him not to give up, and he opens the car door for him. Jimmy then runs away with his mother chasing after him. The cult bus, bikers, and circus freaks. Before any group catches him, the Bubble Boy boards a small plane flown by the taxi driver's twin brother. This causes a crash among the others, and in the middle of the disaster, Slim recognizes Jimmy's mom. It turns out that the lady is none other than Crazy Fire. Then Bubble Boy flies over Niagara Falls. Meanwhile, Chloe walks toward the altar, and when she asks the old man to land near the church, Jimmy falls into the water and is carried away by the current. Then he manages to run to the wedding just before Chloe can say, "I do." For the first time, he leaves the bubble, willing to risk death just to kiss his beloved once. After that, he collapses on the floor as his father and everyone else arrive. And even though his mom cries, saying that Chloe killed him, her husband speaks for the second time in the whole movie, asking her to tell the truth. "You're not dead, Jimmy, I'm not." Jimmy developed immunity at age 4 after leaving the hospital, but she hid it the whole time to protect him from the outside world. And even though his mother basically ruined his childhood, moments later the boy forgives her and leaves the church with Chloe. Days after, Jimmy marries his beloved. We see the Indian friend being followed by cult members, while the Asians from the bar give them money for their honeymoon. But the most surprising thing is that Jimmy's mom is now a biker, and she leaves together with Slim and also with her husband on a motorcycle. And then, the elderly twins reunite after several years to take the newlyweds on their honeymoon. That was Jimmy Bubble. Don't forget to like and comment on which movie you'd like me to summarize. Subscribe and enable notifications to catch upcoming videos.